Hey friends, how's it going? So many of you have been asking me, Michelle, how you doing since Grandpa passed away? That, my friends, is a very loaded question. Grieving is different for everyone, and since Grandpa passed away, I've been finding it coming in waves. Today has actually been a very emotional day for me, but not for sad reasons. I just thinking about how much I love Stan the Man, and listening to music that reminds me of him. Like, of course it hurts, but man, I really loved him. Now, as most of you know, I have not talked, let alone have seen my father in over 3 years. I went no contact because it was what was best for me. And I'm going to call this episode, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call this Welcome to Healing, because that's exactly what my therapist told me, and I want to share it with all of you. So coming up to my grandfather's celebration of life, my aunt told me that my dad was going to be there. Mind you, over 4 years that my grandfather was in a long-term care facility, my grandfather, his father, he went and saw him maybe a dozen times, maybe. And as much as that used to frustrate me, I was like, hey, that's his choice. For over 30 years, I don't want to say that I've played a victim, because I wasn't a victim, but I was. I had so many questions when it came to why my dad allowed the things to happen to me that happened, why he allowed the abuse, why he just allowed me to just have my grandparents take me in when I was 7 years old. And my grandparents took me in because of the abuse. So for over 30 years, I've been very much just like, me. Why would he do this to me? Me. And don't get me wrong, all of those feelings about me, those are justified feelings. But when I took on the role to be my grandfather's full-time caregiver when he needed to be brought home on hospice, that changed my view of everything. Because over 30 years ago, when my father abandoned me, he didn't just abandon me. It was his entire family. His mom, his dad, his sister, his 2 nephews, and me, his daughter. And I never viewed it that way. I always just viewed it as me. Oh, woe is me. My grandfather was here for almost 2 months on hospice. And at the beginning, he was still himself. His son, my dad, didn't come see him one time. And I understand that I have gone no contact with my father, that his dad was in my home, but I would never not let him come see him, ever. Because I'm not cut like that. Like, that's your dad. But he didn't even ask. Nothing. And it just really changed my views of this entire thing, because again, it was like me, to where my sadness and me wanting, answers and just acknowledgement went right out the fucking window. Because now this little sad girl, automatically, I go into like who I actually am, and I protect the people that I love. And that is my family. You can go ahead and you can put my abuse and everything when it comes to his wife, put all of that to the side. What did his mother ever do to him? What did his father ever do to him? His sister? What did anybody else in his family ever do to him besides love him and be there for him? And I'm talking about be there for him like secrets, keep secrets, stupid secrets, but still. Over 30 years ago, he didn't just abandon me. He abandoned his entire family, and they don't deserve that. And I didn't deserve that either. About 2 weeks coming up to Grandpa's celebration of life, I had a lot of anxiety. I didn't know what to expect, because everything, whether it was sad, anxious, anything, all of it went to anger. My aunt and I are like, what if he brings her as in his wife, what if he brings her to his celebration of life? Because she never came to anything. My grandparents would always put invites out to all of them, not just my dad, and she would never come. Never, ever, not one time. And I'm not exaggerating, not one time. But when my grandmother passed away 10 years ago, guess what? Guess who thought that they were going to come to my grandmother's celebration of life? Yeah, you guessed it, my dad's wife. And all of us just thought to ourselves, why? What a slap in the face. How much audacity do you have? You never came to anything. You didn't speak to your husband's parents ever. And now you want to show up now that she's dead, now that she's gone? That's a smack in the face. But I made my father well aware that she was not welcome, and that was a whole thing. And my aunt, she's like, what if he does bring her? And I'm like, instantly, my response was, have bail money. Get that bond ready. But that's not me. That's not who I am. I told my therapist that I was having all of these feelings like I want to embarrass him. I want him to be ashamed. I want to make him feel stupid. And regardless if those feelings, me wanting to make him feel that way, are justified, I hate that I want to make any other human feel that way. Do you know what I mean? Regardless if it's justified. I don't like it. It feels gross. So I just didn't know how I was going to react being in a room with this man. And again, no longer like feeling sad and pity in this, what about me? It's because I realized how he treated my family. And now I was angry. So the day of Grandpa's celebration of life, I've got some nerves coming up to it. And then he shows up and I looked at him. We didn't make any kind of eye contact, but I looked over at him. And when I looked away, I never looked back. Because I always like to joke around with people and say, like, listen, I'm not like some tree hugger or anything like that, but I can feel people's energies. I can meet somebody and within the first few minutes of conversating with them, I know based off of the energy I'm getting from them, whether I'm gonna like that person or not. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to try to make him feel embarrassed. I didn't need him to feel stupid. I didn't have to try to shame him because that was the energy he was giving off. He was embarrassed. He was ashamed, as he should be. We didn't have anything really set up for Grandpa's life, celebration of life. You know, we put up pictures, we put on some of his favorite music. Even my aunt had the great idea. She put some of his tools. My grandfather was a bricklayer his whole life and just put some of his tools out. And my aunt and I stood at the front of the room and we shared some stories. And the family that was there, we just wanted everybody to just share some memories of Stan the Man because there's so many of them. He was so loved. And my dad sat in the back row in the corner and didn't say a word. He had not one memory to share about his father, nothing. And my aunt and I, we really did question it. Like, you never went to see your dad. You didn't come see him when he was on hospice. Why would you want to come to this? Like, I mean, that's fine, come, but why would you want to? Because that's for him. He came to make himself feel better about himself. So he can say that he actually showed up to something. Afterwards, we all decided to go to Rich's Cafe over in Waynedale because that was my grandfather's favorite little breakfast spot. All the waitresses knew him and it was just him, all of his brothers and his brothers' wives. They would just always go there, like multiple times throughout the week. Somebody mentioned it to my dad and he said that he would go. He'd meet us there. So I'm like, oh God, like I did not mentally prepare myself for all of this, but I did invite people. So of course it's going to get back to him. So we get a big table in the back and we're all there and he never shows up. He never calls. He never says anything. And none of us were surprised. The conversations I've been having with my aunt, those conversations have just been healing. I think for both of us, not just me. It's so wild that I sit here and I think about the fact of how I want to talk and I want you to acknowledge what happened to me. And who I was holding on to, there was a small window. My parents divorced when I was almost 5 years old. And there was this very short period of time to where my father and I moved in with my grandparents. My mom didn't even show up for the custody. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad was there for me. And that very short time that we were there, my father was my hero. My mom left. My mom didn't want me. All I had was my dad and my grandparents. So little me has been holding on to this idea of that is who my dad is. Like, oh, I just want that guy. Like, I know who he is. And the reality of it, none of us know who he is. We don't know his personality. We don't know his favorite foods. We don't know his favorite colors. We don't know him. None of us have had a relationship with him outside of random holidays. We have no idea who that man is, besides a dad and a brother. And I use those terms very, very loosely. And the more I process, like, how wild is it that I just wanted all of these things from a stranger, from somebody that I don't even know? And to acknowledge and realize that that's just how it is, it's so healing. It might sound sad and like, dang, yeah, like, man, you really don't. It's actually very healing because it's so much easier to let go. After Stan the Man celebration of life, technically, I don't ever have to be in a room with him ever again. And I am okay with that. I feel like Grandpa's celebration of life and going through that process of him, leaving this earth and going on to whatever's after this was the end of an extremely long chapter of my life. Yeah, a really long chapter. And now it's time for a new chapter, new beginnings. We lost an amazing man when Grandpa passed away, but we also gained so many other things. And I will be forever grateful for all of it. It was by far the hardest thing that we've ever had to do, but also the most rewarding. I would do it 100 times again. But a lot of these things is what I was talking to my therapist about. And once I came to that conclusion towards the end of our session, it was just like, he's a stranger. We don't know him. And I'm okay not needing. I don't need an apology. I don't need your acknowledgement. I don't need it at all anymore. And I feel really good about that. My therapist's response to me was, welcome to healing. And that feels really damn good. Life is wild, isn't it? I appreciate all of you so very much for always checking in, the prayers, well wishes, all of it. We appreciate it. And so did Stan the Man. I'm telling you, he thought that the fact that I do social media, he thought that was the coolest thing. He didn't understand it, not even a little bit, but he thought it was the coolest. All right, that's all I got right now, friends. This isn't exactly the setup and all of the things that I want when it comes to a podcast and longer form content, but I know myself and my ADHD, and I need to start somewhere, because if I don't start somewhere, if I don't start small, I can always turn it into what I want. I just got to get it started. So here we are. Thanks for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.